Well, it's the 11th day of September 2020, certainly not 2001, where the Twin Towers of in New York was brought down. But today our focus is on joint caucus, because the political parties have launched their manifestos. And here I'm referring to the governing NPP and the opposition NDC, kind of getting things set for election 2020. But what do these manifestos mean? One, for the political parties, and two, for you, the electors. What do their manifestos promise? Are they feasible? Are they the things that you would want done for you? This is the conversation we're having this evening on Joint Caucus. We're analyzing and comparing the two political parties' manifestos. Well, the NPP says leadership of service, protecting our progress, transforming Ghana for all. And the NDC says jobs, prosperity, and more, the People's Manifesto. Are there the promises in there which actually meets the needs of the people? And what are the people saying? My name is Winston Amwa, and this is Joint Caucus on the Joint News Channel. We're glad that you've joined us this evening. When we return after this break, I'll be introducing my guests, and then we'll begin our deliberations by finding out which of these two political party manifestos meets your needs and demands. But that'll be after this break. All right, so welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us. This is Joint Caucus on the Joy News Channel, and tonight I've been joined to my right by Executive Director of the Dankwa Institute, that's Richard Ahiagba. He's a member of the NPP's communication team. And to my left is Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC, Edem Agbana. Gentlemen, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. I hope all of you are doing well. Great, so let me start off with you, Adam. And I mean, I've heard some of your party members say the NPP's manifesto is empty. It doesn't really say much. First, why do you say the NPP manifesto is empty? What is that thing that you like about it? Is there anything you like about the NPP's manifesto?
Wilson.
Adam.
Thank you very much, and good evening to our viewers. The NPP a few weeks ago outdoored their manifesto, and they are talking about leadership of service. And in that manifesto, which is 216 pages, they sought to first give an account for what they have been doing in the past 3.5 years and what they intend to do when given the opportunity to continue, which is very unlikely, because we are confident that come what may, the NDC will win the elections come December. When you read through the NPP manifesto, there are a few issues that I would like to bring to your attention, because I know they are aware. The NPP manifesto has a lot of misleading claims. Lots of misleading claims, especially with regards to their accounting for their stewardship. For example, if you read the NPP manifesto under health infrastructure, University of Ghana Medical Center, Dodowa Hospital, and many other hospital projects by His Excellency John Mahama and the NDC have been listed as achievements or projects done under their remarks.
They say they completed the University of Ghana Medical Center.
I think the debate about the University of Ghana Hospital is settled. Everybody, even kids in this country, know that it is John Mahama and the NDC.
So in 2019, in 2019,
yes,
the government procured a loan of 47 million to actually complete phase 2 of the University of Ghana Medical Center. Isn't that a completion of the work that started already? Can't the government say?
So the point must be made, and it must be made strongly, that the NDC started and completed the University of Ghana Medical Center. We handed over a completed hospital to the NPP government. When they came into office, due to the petty politicking of Akufo-Addo and his men, many of the projects, many of the hospitals, even those completed, they left them abandoned. And including your station, many other media houses have even run documentaries on some of these projects. They told us that the University of Ghana Hospital was not ready for use, and they left it not opened until COVID came, and we all saw the University of Ghana Hospital became the savior for many of their ministers and top officials who contracted the COVID. So the point is that if we completed the hospital, we commissioned and handed over to you, at least, you see, this is not, it's not an argument about phase 1 or phase 2 and what have you. The point is that we built the University of Ghana Hospital. I don't want us to play with words, semantics about phase 2. And even the phase 2 that they are talking about, how far have they come with it? If they have secured a loan, how do you quote it in your manifesto that you have completed? That's in, they quoted it as projects done so far. Because you see, and after they launched their manifesto, they have deliberately made few copies available because they've made a lot of misleading claims. I'll come to the area of youth and sports and tell you the other misleading claims that they have made. But the point is that apart from the misleading claims and the lies, the deception captured in their manifesto, the NPP manifesto really is not comprehensive enough, doesn't address the issues going forward. And I'll tell you why. We are in an unusual time. COVID-19 has come to ravage the global economy. Countries, big economies, small economies, are all not certain about the future. So you needed a manifesto that not only gives hope to young people, not only gives hope to the people of Ghana, but also comprehensively deals with all sectors of life, that addresses the challenges. Their manifesto simply lacks that. I'll give you an example. On the issue of legal education, we all know the problem with legal education. Their manifesto's proposal, solution that they preferred in the manifesto was that they were going to increase infrastructure. Clearly, they didn't even understand the existing problem, because basically, if you understand the problem of legal education in this country, you will know that infrastructure is not the biggest problem. Infrastructure is not the challenge to be addressed. It is about reforms in the school. And the NDC manifesto has clearly adequately catered for that. And that is why I'm not surprised that all the experts from H. Kwesi Prempeh and all the advocates for reforms in legal education have come out to say, including the students themselves, the National Association of Law Students have come out, analyzed the two manifestos and said the NDC has a better proposition when it comes to the solution to their problems. Away from the issue of legal education, even with issues of student loan, the NPP clearly, with their proposal and what they have proposed, they clearly do not understand the existing problem. Yes, they have captured an issue about addressing the guarantor problems and all that. That is a problem. Yes, NDC has captured that as well. But you know the problem. The problem is that under this government, they have a terrible record with loan disbursement. And you can cross-check. Let your production team cross-check. As we speak, 2019-2020 academic year has ended. More than 10,000 beneficiaries of the student loan have not received their loans. And you can cross-check from the SLTF. I did that a few minutes even before coming into studio. So clearly the problem is not even just about having a guarantor or not having a guarantor.
They don't understand the problem. The same problem they don't understand, they're solving it the same way as you have promised.
How have they solved it? No, if you look at our man,
they've promised to solve it the same way you have promised.
You see, Wilson, I have said that they have captured the issue of guarantor. For them, that is the solution. And you captured the same. We have captured much more. We have captured, for example, that would increase the student loan by 100%, because we have seen, and when you speak to the beneficiaries, even the loan is not enough, so we'll increase. So that is another solution. Third, we have said we are going to return the Student Loan Trust Fund Plus, the SLTF Plus, which President Mahama introduced in the 2015-2016 academic year, but the NPP government failed to continue. With that problem, this is what it does. That if today you want to access the student loan, you ought to be a registered student in good standing before you send your application to the student loan office. Now, before you become a student in good standing, you needed to pay your fees and fulfill all your other financial obligations to the university to be able to be a student in good standing or to register to access the student loan. Then this says, look, in order to increase access, we are thinking about that child, that Ghanaian child that does not have what it takes to even foot his school fees to be able to be a student in good standing before accessing the loan. So it means that you can even remove guarantor, but if the person is not able to pay fees and is in good standing in the university, he or she is unable to access the loan. So we have said that Student Loan Trust Fund Plus, what it does is that as long as you get your admission letter, even when you do not have money to pay your fees and be a student in good standing before even thinking about getting a guarantor or not, you can apply to the Student Loan Trust Fund, get the SLTF Plus form, and you are given a loan which can even help you to even pay part of your fees. And that is the solution to the problem. Clearly, they lack that because they do not understand the problem. They start somewhere, 5-6 people, and decided that they were writing a manifesto. So clearly, you cannot adequately address the problems of these people. Again, on the issues of youth and employment.
As you wrap up for this.
Yeah, so Claire, I mean, wrapping up on their manifesto, I think that their manifesto is basically empty, doesn't address the challenges going forward, especially the post-COVID-19 era, and the manifesto has failed to propose the solutions that we need as a country to move this country forward.
Let me get to Richard. Richard, so Adam says your manifesto is empty. You say they have copied you. What's your own assessment of their manifesto, and you're comparing that to yours?
Yeah. Well, thank you, and good evening to your cherished viewers. I was listening to my brother. I'm not sure if he's talking about the NPP manifesto or their manifesto, because it is their manifesto that had no anchor. Everything they said they want to do, if you look, the sum total of their manifesto is collection of ideas, but there is no basis to show that this is how we're going to fund that idea. And I think that everything starts and ends with the economy. So with all these things they're talking about, the question you ask them is, how are you going to fund this? And you begin to hear very funny ideas. You look at their proposal on finance and economy, it's about realignment of this, realignment of that, restructuring of that. That is not how you generate money necessarily to fund these kinds of things they're talking about. I watched their program. And interestingly, in one of the videos they have, documentaries they had playing, I heard them say that they inherited an ailing economy. Now here is a government that took over from itself. Okay? Now who did they inherit the ailing economy from? And you hear the famous...
Maybe from you in 2009.
No, we're talking about John Mahama. Because, of course, if they're talking about 2009, it wasn't an ailing economy. Economy growing 9.1 is not an ailing economy. So I'm not sure if they saw an ailing economy, if they will recognize it, if that's what they are thinking in 2008 or 2009. So that economy was not ailing. Obviously, he's talking about taking over from the former president. You remember the famous thing he talked about, they're eating it and he's left with the bone, right? He ate all the meat. This is talking about inheriting an economy from himself. Really. So for me, I watched their manifesto launch, and I was waiting all night that there's going to be this seminal moment. There was going to be this transformative moment where some idea will burst out of their manifesto that even me, okay, would say that is an idea Ghana can count on.
You don't see anything in the manifesto that
there was absolutely there is. You tell me, and that idea.
Talk about a no guarantor system, same as the policy you put.
But I'm saying, you remember when I just said to you that everything starts and ends with the economy. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you I want to buy an airplane tomorrow. That's nothing, unless you see the potential in me that I can make that money. If perhaps you look at me and you see Dangote in my face, then when I tell you I want to buy an airplane, then you can believe that. But the NDC tells you they want 10 billion big push. They want to end free SHS, double track. You don't understand what is it they're talking. You ask, where are you going to get the money from? They can't show you that in here. Not a single thing in here that tells you how we are going to raise that money. And now, compare that to the NPP manifesto.
Before we compare that to the NPP's manifesto, the question I asked them, and I ask you that question also. So you say you don't see anything that would that actually.
There is none. I mean, the paper is here. Let's read it.
So there's something. Yes. So there's something that is in your manifesto.
Yes.
The no guarantor system.
Yes.
For student loans.
Yes.
When you heard that, didn't it strike you that okay, so they have something that we also have?
Well, we have something that they have, except they don't have the infrastructure. You see, we have a basis to promise that. And that basis...
And what is that basis?
That basis is that we have done what they couldn't do, which is to do the Ghana card, the national identification structure that allows you now to be able to track that student.
Isn't that a property of the state, and thus they can use that?
Of course. Everything is a property of the state, isn't it?
Sure.
But then who did it? And you did it with the purpose of advancing a policy on top of that. You understand? Mm-hmm. You build
for Ghana.
For Ghana, absolutely. Okay. I mean, we're talking in that context. We're not saying it's for us, we're taking it away. But I'm just saying that they had a chance to do the Ghana card, right? Where in 2012 or so, when we did the voter ID card, they had the Ghana card put on it. For 8 years, they didn't do it because they don't see the future. They can't imagine that future where they want to do removing the guarantor. Because if you say, without the Ghana card today, if you want to insert that policy, on what basis are you going to achieve that? So, but then if you have a government that is prepared the ground by bringing in the Ghana card, now you are in a place to say that we can track that student, so therefore, through the Ghana card, so therefore we can now eliminate the guarantor system.
So shouldn't that even, I mean, and for you, as a government that has done the Ghana card,
yeah.
If the NDC says they're going to do this, isn't that an indication that as a country we have done something right, which the opposition acknowledges, and thus would build on to make education easier for
Absolutely, all? I don't have a problem with that, but I'm just saying that if you track between the two people, okay, if you track between the NDC and the MPP, and you see the thinking that would lead to you to say you want to eliminate the guarantor system, between the two you see one who inherently is building on the structure, because they had the time to do Ghana card, they didn't do it. If that was a foresight they had, they would have done the Ghana card at the same time. So really it's an afterthought. And who knows, after 2 postponements after the MPP manifesto, people can insert things in the manifesto. I don't have a problem with that. But the point is that where is the credibility is? One who has trained for this, one who has prepared for this, one who has built the infrastructure for this, has a firm basis to say, this is what I was going to do. Anybody can have ideas, right? But the man or the party or the government that builds the infrastructure to make real that policy is the one who owns that. And I don't have a problem if they want to, they can do that. But that again comes to the point, where is the money coming from? And look between the two parties. Their record, sometimes it's interesting. NDC says things and you listen to it and you wonder exactly, are they sure they are talking to the same people in this country? Unless you make the adjustment that the NDC truly believes in the idea that they think Ghanaians have short memory. Because I cannot for the life of me imagine an NDC telling us they have a record in economic management in this country, because they don't. Especially led by John Dramani Mahama. They don't have it. They can't dream it. Even it doesn't matter how many times they say it, it won't stick, because they don't have it. The numbers don't bear it out. So you don't make that case. Now he talks about our manifesto. One thing that is different from us, or between the two of us, is that there is ideological consistency. There is history to our policy making in this country. If you take this policy and the policies before, the documents, manifestos before this one, you will find a common thread that runs through them, which is who we are, which is what we bring to the table. Our foundational promise to Ghana, my brother, is that we want to invest the resources of this country in ways that liberate the productive capacity of Ghanaians.
You would hold on at that point, because you've spoken for 8 minutes just like Adam. I need to get back to Adam. So, Adam, he says, you can't be trusted to do the things you're promising because you didn't envisage this. They have done these things, and we're doing it in preparation for this. So if there's one party that can be trusted, certainly not you.
I think that is a very ridiculous point to make, especially to imagine that but for Ghana card, we cannot have a no guarantor system for student loan. When the same government that you talk about earlier, even before the students registered, allowed for a system where through the Student Loan Trust Fund Plus, they could apply and get a loan before. Again, when you read our manifesto, we have said that we are going to remove the guarantor system and students will be tracked with any nationally recognized identification card. Before the Ghana card, there have been many ways of identifying people. We've had the other cards. We've had passports, we've had the voters ID and others that have been used until the Ghana card came recently. So are you trying to say that but for Ghana card, we do not have any national identification system where we could track our people? That is very ridiculous. Again, he made the point about the economy. When it comes to the better management of the economy, the MPP is good at just making the flowery statement that we have better managed the economy, the figures don't. But let's go into the figures. you had 370 billion available to you. You know for a fact that the NDC had 190 billion. But we have a lot of things to show for it. At the time President Mahama inherited the economy, we had only one oil field available. But by the time he left, because of his investment, because of his vision, he was able to add on board 2 more streams. So in terms of even oil revenue, you have had more than 3 times what was available to us. So for example, before 2016, Ghana was making on the average 90,000 barrels a day. And that's what we're selling. But because of the 10 fields and the sarcophagus fields, which are investment made by President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC, you have 3 more fields, and today you are doing over 200,000 barrels a day. Even with all of that revenue coming in, there's very little for you to show. With all of that revenue coming in, debt to GDP ratio has increased under you. The same debt to GDP ratio that you were criticizing, that we had crossed the 70% line, even after doing rebasing, yours would have been 76%, which is worse. In terms of inflation, before we handed over power, inflation was on a downward track for 15 good months. So it has just continued till today. And even with inflation, when you look at the basket that they are using today, they have included many more items, which is more a way of salvaging them. So they just figure we better manage the economy than you. But let's go into the figures. What shows? What do you have to prove that you have better managed the economy than us? An economy that is losing on the average 12 billion to corruption, that you tell you have better managed the economy than us, when you have 370 billion that you have, and yet you have borrowed more than anybody. You have borrowed over 140 billion and you have nothing to show for it, and you want us to talk about better management of the economy? Again, to the manifestos. My brother, even the processes leading to the authority of the manifesto shows a clear difference. We said, look, we want to draft a people's manifesto. Let's go to the people. President Mahama, as flag bearer, met almost all the professional groups in this country, from teachers, doctors, lawyers, farmers, unemployed youth. He met student groups, met all sorts of groups, Okada riders, truck drivers, journalists, and all of that. And they all made an input into what should be the collective vision going into the next 4 years for this country. And when we met them, after that, we even went to the extent of taking President Mahama to the various regions for what we call the Speak Out Tour, where he sat on the table with Ghanaians, ordinary Ghanaians, cocoa farmers, children of cocoa farmers, the aged, young people, women. And so if you look at how the manifesto is and how comprehensive it is, the way it has been able to address the issues. And you see, there's something critical about this. Initially, he made a comment, a very ridiculous comment, that we have no groundbreaking idea in our manifesto. And yet, after launching it, some of the ideas that they ridicule, that they mock, today, their government is all over the place running, trying to implement them. For example, the legalization of the Okada. Apart from that, we have promised that we were going to scrap the law on the importation of salvage vehicles. After all the comments they made about it today, we are hearing that they are all over the place saying that they have put on hold the implementation of the law because they know that it is hurting them. Again, we have said that we are going to migrate cocoa farmers who are in the informal sector and provide for them a pension scheme, an informal pension scheme. All of a sudden, just yesterday, the CEO of Cocoa Board was with cocoa farmers promising, even though it's not in their manifesto, saying government is thinking about coming out with a policy to put them on an informal pension scheme. All of this, and Okada, you all know what has happened with Okada. President Akufo-Addo told people that Mahama made a very populist promise by saying he's going to legalize and regulate Okada. They were all over the place saying President Mahama was not visionary enough, and that is why he wanted to legalize Okada. But what are we hearing? Just yesterday, Kojo Nkrumah and the Minister for Transport are all over the place telling everybody that they have begun consultations to legalize. If we do not have groundbreaking ideas,
they say there's been consultations ongoing.
And look,
for some time now.
You don't deny the consistency.
Hold on. You don't deny there's been consultations.
And I'm saying that, look,
I have asked you a question. You don't deny there's been consultations on legalizing Okada since 2019.
There have been, it's not consultation. There have been engagements.
Yes.
With Parliamentary Select Committee on Transport. And the position of the ministry, the position of the Akufo-Addo government, the position of the MTTU has been consistently a no. President Mahama, against all odds, went forward and said, I want to legalize and regulate and train you. There's been,
I don't know whether you know, of the stakeholder engagement, we're all learning. the stakeholder engagement in March 2019.
What was the position of the government?
Hold on, where the police actually made a point in that engagement that they believe government should be considering the legalization.
And
of
I've said that.
So you made a
not
point.
denying, no,
you made a point.
It's important you get me right.
I get you right, but you made
the
a point that
conversation. Listen. I think it's important for you to get it from the angle I'm coming from. There have been conversations on the legalization of Okada, but the question to ask is that what has been the position of the government on it? That is what I want to. That's what I'm saying. That their position has constantly been a no. And that is why when President Mahama came out and mentioned that he will legalize, regulate, and train, they started by ridiculing. I have videos of their member of parliament, Kennedy Japan, virtually insulting President Mahama and describing that he's not visionary, that how is he going to, why does he want to legalize Okada? I have videos, I have recordings of MPP communicators and government officials. I have videos or pictures of and write-outs from people like the majority leader and minister for parliamentary affairs, basically condemning this idea. So when did the government realize that there have been conversations or there have been engagement or stakeholder consultation? The point is that the Okada riders have always petitioned parliament, they have been advocating, and they wanted Okada to be legalized. But the position of the government has always been a no, until President Mahama decided that he wanted to do it. Today, they are all over the place wanting to do it. You claim that there are no groundbreaking ideas in ours. Why are you copying our idea to migrate cocoa farmers and put them on a pension scheme and all of that? And I'll tell you the groundbreaking ideas in our manifesto. I will start with one. The 1 million coders program. They have nothing like that in their manifesto. Under the NDC, we believe that the digital economy is the way to go. Today, when COVID-19 came, everybody was using Zoom. And the founders of you, young guys, when they went to list their app on the market and the IPO, the first offer was $40 billion. Imagine a Ghanaian young guy building an app that is serving the global needs and is being paid $40 billion, and how much the person, an individual, is bringing into our economy and the impact of that money. So we said, because of this, we want to partner with the private sector to provide training for 1 million young people to learn coding. Now, there are many private institutions already doing things like that. I can mention MTN, for example. They have a program that they call Hackathon. I can mention a Developers Invoke program being led by a young lady called Ivy Bali. I can mention Ceci Technologies, a young student from KNUST who is doing something similar, training young people how to code, build app, and all of that. The NDC says, let's partner with these people, give young people the edge in terms of the global market, give them a training so that they will become coders and build apps, so that the failed app that they paid 1.7 million for COVID-19 tracker that never worked. We have young people in this country who can build better apps and be paid those monies, and then they will have decent life. Apart from that idea, the NDC is also transforming what we used to call the Labor Department into National Employment Bureau. What that will do is that when you decentralize the National Employment Bureau at the district level, today we will have a better information on local artisans, on young people who are not employed. So that when government is undertaking a project in a particular district and they come to the district, they have a database of young people and their qualifications and expertise that they can rely on. These are the vision that we have for the next 4 years.
Thank you. Adam, you spoke in for 10 minutes. Let me get to you, Richard. So, Richard, Adam says, you say there's nothing that, struck you in their manifesto, and yet you're copying. You already started implementing the very things that you say are not visionary.
But that he's talking about the Okada story.
Yes,
he mentioned 4 things.
Well,
he's talked about, reversing the ban on importation of salvage vehicles.
Yeah.
He's talked about pension for cocoa farmers.
Yeah. Let's start with those things, he's just saying them because he doesn't know it was being done. There were consultations, sectoral consultations that were being done to bring those. Because you see, the difference is that they are in opposition and there's a government in motion. So what they are trying to do is to trap the government from doing anything. You understand?
How are they trapping the government?
No, this conversation is to say, because you are doing what you are doing, that's what we wanted to do. You understand?
But many of you kicked against that. You mocked them.
Yes, fair enough. If
your government was implementing the same policy, why did you mock
the government? The government works along ministries, departments, and agencies, right? So Ministry of Transport is doing engagement. I have no idea, okay, about what they are doing necessarily when they are doing consultations. Unless an action crystallizes, you probably don't know. I have publications from your own website which talks about this Okada engagement ongoing long before they even announced their manifesto. So what is it they're talking about? What is it they're talking about? Now, even this manifesto stuff, my brother, who is to blame to begin this whole conversation? Who caused the piper? Who decided to ban this? If suddenly they are saying it's good, why did they ban it the first time?
Is it good?
I don't know. But they are the one trying to say it's our baby, our baby. If it was their baby, why was it not their baby when they were banning it? Do you understand? So these are people, okay, who really have no anchor. And I was telling you before you shifted to him, is that when you look at us, there is predictability. There is history and there is a core to our policy making in this country. We don't do ad hoc stuff. We do things that is sustained. And that's how come during President Kufuor's time, you saw this economy picked up from the ground, built and was growing. Because that historical approach to managing the wealth of this country is true and a tried and tested principle, which we use. When Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the MPP2 came, we inherited a poor economy. Same principle, same value system, same approach. We have built that economy and was growing before COVID came. So there is predictability and consistency. You can look at our history and it runs through. But if you look at them, what they have here is a collection of ideas, populist ideas, right? Populist ideas. Just to say, oh, people are opposed to this. Listen to radio and write what people say we don't want. People say don't. But that is not how you rule and govern.
What's wrong with that?
There's everything wrong with it if you don't have a policy anchor for it. Because then that's where the question comes in. How are you going to pay for that? You can't show me how you're going to pay for that at all. You can't. They can't. Any day, let's have that conversation.
How are they going to pay for what specifically?
Everything they say they are going to do. They sit there, huh?
So everything they say they're going to do, I mean...
Because look, for example...
Hold on. Is it a big push, $10 billion?
A big push, $10 billion, where they're going to get the money from?
Your government, your party, has promised $100 billion Corona revitalization program. Where would they get the money from? So
we promised 100 million. There's a 2 billion facility guarantee for big businesses.
Yeah, but that whole program is 100 billion when the finance minister went into parliament. 100 billion over the next 3 years.
Yes.
Where will you get the money from?
Well, if you look at who we are, we came in this country and we said there's going to be a drastic shift in terms of creating wealth from taxation to production. And you have seen us done that consistently over time. We are going to expand the economy to be able to generate or create that fiscal space to be able to pay that. And we have done that.
Can't the NDC do the same?
They haven't done it. Look at their history and tell me if they've seen them do it. They haven't. Really? You understand? So that historical difference.
So the money so the money can be gotten? The money can be gotten,
and that was the reason.
Is it the case that you don't trust the NDC to get the money?
No, we don't have to trust them or not. You just have to look at their history. You just have to look at what they have done in this country. Okay? In the history of this country. Okay? In 3.5 years, we'll call it 4 years. All right? A government has built and functional industry or factories, about 28 of them, right from the ground up. Now, the new ones that are waiting to be commissioned...
Government in collaboration with the private sector.
Absolutely. That's right. It's a policy view that allows for that to happen. They were here. Why couldn't they do that? So it is the vision, it is the ideology, it's the approach, principles, and values that leads you to do that. So I am more at home with somebody from that party side, from that government's background to tell me, I can get you 10 billion or 100 billion to move this country forward, because you see that by his own DNA and makeup, they can do that. So now we can engage in the back and forth conversation. Truly, one thing the NDC know how to do is to talk a good game, but they don't have a plan. They don't have the approach to do it. Because look, if we are being very honest in this country, you don't have to look too close to see it. The NDC, anytime they govern this country, we have fiscal problems in this country that always contain, get Ghanaians to get to a place where they rather be out of an NDC government. Look, NDC 1, NDC 2, all of it. Even interestingly, between themselves, they're talking about having inherited ailing economy from one another. So we're talking about a group of people whose worldview is archaic, whose worldview is not contemporary, whose approach to managing this country's wealth is not sustainable. You look, I think there's a portion in their manifesto, and I laughed when I saw. Okay, they talk about going for, can't remember the page, but they were talking about going for concessional loans or concessional facilities. That word is in there. I can look for the exact page, but it's under the finance and economy. In this day and age, where are you going to go get concessional loans? That's who they are. They cannot create wealth for this country. Creatively trying to mobilize from within how to push this country forward. The NDC have not been able to do it. They cannot do it. And everything they say is talk. Now, if you look on the economy thing, let me just look at one thing and tell you. Okay? They are talking in their fiscal place, their fiscal policy area here is talking about, okay, right here. It's a realign the entire fiscal framework to achieve efficient resource mobilization, utilization of public funds. What's that? Is that a plan? What's that? Is it a question they're looking to what? Amend the fiscal responsibility rule to be able to do what? You don't understand. This is not a plan to raise resources. This is not a plan to create wealth for this country. So for me, we can reduce all of this thing down to how you get the money. And the NDC show us how you get the money. And Ghanaians can see between the two who is able to provide any single thing they have promised. Okay. If you cannot manage the economy, you cannot provide or fulfill any of your promises. And that for me is the argument.
You talk about talking about having concessional loans. Yeah. And you say, where are you going to get it around this time? Yeah. Why can't you get concessional loans?
We used to get those things before, but now we are no longer a poor country by designation.
No, but just in 2015, for the T3,
yeah.
You know, the first, I mean, there was a moratorium. So the first part, you don't pay anything. Yeah. And then the rest is spread for you. You can still get that today.
No. Concessional loans are, by and large, by their very nature, loans you get without interest, largely. Okay?
There's also a combination of, you know, interest and a free period. So
right. But you see, a moratorium necessarily is not...
Hold on. So there's a free period.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where you have an interest.
Yes. But I'm just saying to you that, okay, just even imagine that as a proposition for a government that says that that's what they're going to look out for. That's not the modern day way, because there is no free lunch anywhere for any government anymore. You are in the market to engage as a big boy, or you are not in the market. So that I am at home, Wilson, for example, for a government that tells me if in the process of time you get a concessional loan, fair enough.
Thank you.
But we must be able to stand on our own 2 feet to build our country.
All right.
Winston, I think that I can pardon my brother Richard when he's making a mess on the issues of the economy and funding, because I clearly gave you figures on the revenues that the two parties had, the two governments had, what we've used it for. I gave you figures in terms of the measures, the metrics. We don't measure economy by Rich's words. On the 3rd of November 2016, in the reports that the Economic Intelligence Unit released, where they predicted the victory for Akufo-Addo, then candidate Akufo-Addo, they stated that the economy of Ghana was going to grow by over 8%. You know why? Because they saw the kind of investment that was made during the crisis, when we even had Dumso. They have been comparing Dumso with COVID-19. President Mahama led an economy that was growing at 3.5%. And EIU predicted that irrespective of what the incoming government was going to do, the economy was going to grow by over 8%. It means that they saw the baseline, they saw the investment that we made, and they realized that that's what's going to happen. So when they talk about better management of the economy, I'm giving you figures. He hasn't been able to mention any figure or any source document. Secondly, my brother must get a little serious when he's referring to my manifesto or the People's Manifesto. And I'll tell you why. He read a portion of the manifesto concerning the goals under our finance and the economy. He read the goals, which means realign the entire fiscal framework. Just on top of it, you can see that there it is a goal. Under that is a strategy. So you read a goal and you are asking that we don't have a plan. You cannot see beneath that there's a strategy. The strategies have been listed there, 5 strategies. 1, that will broaden the tax base while containing tax rates. That is a strategy. Maybe he doesn't understand what we mean when we talk about broadening tax base. The second one is that will reduce discretionary tax exemptions, like the huge tax exemption that they are giving to the in-law of President Akufo-Addo to come and build a hotel. $24 million. That tax can be used to fund some of the youth programs that we have in the People's Manifesto. When you talk about how we're going to get money to fund the policy, and I'm telling you that it's a matter of priority. One president decided to employ 125 non-performing ministers. President Mahama has said he will reduce the public spending on ministers by reducing the number of ministers. When you do the calculation, by reducing 40 ministers, the amount of money that will be accrued to you is enough to fund some of the projects that we have mentioned. Again, you have a government that corruption is taking away 9 billion on the average. Last year, it was 13 billion. If we use the Operation Sting to solve the problem of corruption from 2021, we are going to ensure that that 13 billion that your government is losing to corruption will be invested in some of these projects. Apart from that, your government has ballooned the number of presidential staffers to over 1,000. All of those people, you can save the money. Your president traveling alone, he spent 69 million. And we are saying it's a matter of priority. Before 2016, when President Akufo-Addo granted an interview to the BBC, and they asked him for his free SHS policy, which he has been trumpeting from 2008. Did he have an idea how much it was going to fund?
Adam,
so today, we have even gone to the extent of listing the goals and the strategies for raising funds to support all these policies. So maybe he read and didn't understand them. But clearly from our document, we have listed the strategies of raising funds.
Thank you.
I'm surprised he didn't understand this.
Thank you very much, Adam. Finally, Richard.
Look, on a more serious note, those kinds of words, he doesn't understand all those things. He knows.
But the thing is,
it's not even one that I want to
allow him now. He didn't speak. Hold on, Adam. Hold on, Richard. Adam. He did not speak when you were making your point. So I
just
think
helping him. Maybe
maybe
he didn't see it in his document.
I decide who needs help. Go ahead.
Look, so that is not even serious to engage. You see, I am talking about raising and creating wealth for this country. Taxation and how you shove things around is not how you win and how you create wealth for this country. And now we know, anyhow, that the NDC still is stuck in the past with taxation as its way to develop this country. That has been proven to be not sustainable. Okay? Now he talks about, earlier he made an assertion about the Ghana card and the rest of it that can track with passport and all of those things. It still means that they don't understand, they don't get it. Ghana card, with its becoming the parent form of identification in this country, everybody captured in there, you then now have one singular way of identifying all Ghanaians. Now that helps you do many, many, many things, okay? Broadening the tax base, you heard when Dr. Baumia was reviewing our budget, talks about how is it that going forward, the Ghana card becomes your Ghana card ID number becomes essentially your tax identification number, in which case, by virtue of completing the Ghana card, all 30 million people, if that is what is captured, falls right into the tax net. So you tell me what else you're going to do. This is forward-looking planning and implementation. So you talk to me about broadening tax base. They've been in this country before. That's the interesting thing, Wilson, that they have been in this country before. They've run this government before. All the numbers in terms of revenue mobilization, NDC never, their best, I think, was somewhere around 37 billion in revenue they raised. I think that's close to about, is it 2016 or 2015, thereabout. You understand? And so talking about revenue mobilization, and every time they do this, say, oh, broaden the tax base. What are you going to do to broaden the tax base? If they were serious about doing this, when they were in government, they would have done the Ghana card, which then gives you a core to be able to do that, which they didn't do. Now, please, you need an identification for this. You don't just do things because you want to. Now, number one. Number two, so reducing discretionary spending. a discretionary tax exemption? How do you get those investment, let alone award discretion or not award discretion? They don't understand this. The world over, those discretionary tax, they are strategic exemptions that you give to draw investment to your country. So what they are saying is that they are really, under us. Foreign direct investment went up to historic high, even surpassing Nigeria, right? Why do you do that? How do you get that? You don't just get that by saying we're not going to do this, right? You draw people into your country by offering that. So it's a strategic growth or investment mechanism that you use to draw investment. What does that do? When those investments come to your country, it creates opportunity for growth, it creates employment and boosts your GDP to go up. So they have no idea in terms of doing this. So just write in your thing, you are actually immobilizing yourself. Excuse me, let me just align for you.
Yes.
You're immobilizing yourself. You're immobilizing yourself by saying that, oh, we are going to collect those monies from people. The point we are making on a more serious note is that Ghana must produce. Production is our problem. The NDC has no idea on how to produce. Shuffling things around in the realms of tax is not how you develop this country.
Okay. Thank you very much, Richard Ahiagba, who's Executive Director of the Dankwa Institute. And thank you very much, Demagbana, who's Deputy Youth Organizer of the NDC. Our time is up. We need to make way for, Joy News Prime. Thank you very much. This has been Joint Caucus here on the Joy News channel with me, Winston Amwa. We'll be back same time next week, but of course on Wednesday it will be, the Minority Caucus, and then on Thursday, Majority Caucus, all at 6 p.m. Make sure you make a date. Keep watching Joy News channel. Have a lovely weekend.